In a quiet village at the base of green hills, where the air smelled of fresh earth and wild flowers, lived a man named Elias. He was not young anymore, with lines on his face from years of hard work and a gentle smile that hid his worries. Elias had known both joy and sadness in his life, but he always tried to stay calm. He lived in a small wooden house with his wife Mira and their only son, Luca, together. They ran a modest farm that gave just enough to eat and live simply. Elias believed in patience and faith, often saying life is like a river. It twists and turns, but it always finds its way. One crisp morning, as the sun rose over the hills, Elias woke to the sound of birds singing. He stepped outside to check on his most valuable possession, a beautiful brown horse named Bella. Bella was strong and loyal, with a shiny coat that shone in the light, and eyes that seemed to understand Elias's every word. She helped plow the fields, carry heavy loads, and even played with Luca in the evenings. To Elias, Bella was more than an animal. She was a friend, a helper, and a symbol of their family's hard-earned peace. But life can change things without warning. One very day, a wealthy merchant rode into the village in a fancy carriage. His name was Mr. Harlan, a man known for his sharp business deals and never-ending greed. He had heard stories about Bella's strength and from travelers passing through. When he saw her grazing in the field, his eyes widened with desire. "What a fine horse," he said, stroking his thick beard. "She could pull my carts twice as fast as any other." "Name your price, Elias. I'll give you enough gold to buy a new farm." Elias felt a pain in his chest. The money could change their lives. New tools for the farm, better clothes for Mira, and maybe even books for Luca to learn more. But Bella was family. Luca, who was listening nearby, tugged at his father's sleeve, his young face full of worry. "Papa, don't sell her. She's ours." Elias looked into Bella's calm eyes and shook his head. "I'm sorry, Mr. Harlan, but Bella stays with us. She's not for sale." The merchant left in a hurry, muttering about foolish villagers. Word spread quickly through the small community. Neighbors gathered at the well, whispering and shaking their heads that gold could have ended his struggles. Now he'll pony for forever. Another man laughed bitterly. "Pride will ruin him. What a bad choice." Elias heard the talk but kept his head high. Inside, doubt crept in like a shadow. Had he made a mistake that night? As he sat by the fire with Mira, he sighed. "Maybe I should have taken the offer. Life is hard enough." Mira placed her hand on his. "You followed your heart, Elias. That's never wrong." A few days passed and the village returned to its routine. Then one stormy night, thunder shook the sky and rain poured like tears from the heavens. Elias stood still at the sound of wind howling through the trees. He rushed to the stable, his heart pounding, only to find the door swinging open. Bella was gone, hoof prints led into the dark forest, but the rain had washed away any clear trail. Elias and Luca searched until calling dawn. Her name, their clothes soaked and muddy. "She's lost," Luca cried, his voice breaking. "Why did this happen to us?" The villagers heard the news and shook their heads. "See, refusing that offer was a curse." One said, "Now he's lost everything." What bad luck! Elias felt a heavy weight on his shoulders, like an invisible burden. His back ached from the search and his eyes hurt. But deep down, he remembered an old saying from his father: "What seems bad today might be a blessing tomorrow." He hugged Luca close. "Son, we can't know yet if this is good or bad. Let's wait and see what time brings." Days turned into a week. The farm work grew harder without Bella. Elias pulled the plow himself, his muscles burning with hard work, while Luca carried water buckets that felt heavier than before. Mira worried silently, her face pale as she mended clothes by candlelight. The family ate less, sharing simple meals of bread and vegetables. Luca's laughter, once so free, became quiet. "Papa, I miss Bella," he whispered one evening. Elias nodded, his throat tight. "I do too, but life goes on. We must be strong." Then, on a bright afternoon, as Elias dug the soil under the warm sun, a distant sound came from the forest edge. He dropped his tool and ran, his heart beating like a drum. There, emerging from the trees, was Bella. But she wasn't alone. Trotting beside her were 3 wild horses. They looked tired but healthy, as if Bella had led them out of the forest. Luca shouted with joy and ran to hug Bella's neck, tears streaming down his cheeks. "She's back, and she brought friends." The village buzzed with excitement. Neighbors crowded around the farm, eyes wide. "What luck! Elias is blessed, they exclaimed. Those horses will make him rich. Mr. Harlan even returned offering more gold. But Elias politely refused again. Inside, Elias felt a small hope. But he stayed calm, no showing off, no boasting. He patted Bella's flank gently. You went on an adventure, old girl. Maybe you needed to find your kin. Luca smiled, already dreaming of training the new horses. This is the best thing ever, Papa. Elias smiled softly. Maybe, son. Or maybe not, time will tell. Luca tilted his head confused, but helped make a bigger fence. The family worked together to build a bigger enclosure. Their hands sore, but their spirits lifted. The new horses brought energy to the farm. One mare, whom they named Luna, was gentle and perfect for riding. The other, Storm, was strong but good for plowing. The cold Sunny played in the fields, bringing laughter back to Luca. But joy can be short, like a summer breeze. A few weeks later, as Luca trained Storm in the meadow, the horse bucked wildly at a snake in the grass. Luca flew off, landing hard on the ground. His arm hit at an odd angle. Then Mira fetched the village healer. The healer set the bone, but Luca's arm was broken badly. He would need months to heal. Unable to work or play, whispers returned. Those wild horses are trouble. Villagers said Elias invited danger by keeping them. What a bad turn. Luca lay in bed, his face pale, sweat on his brow. Papa, this hurts so much. Why did Storm throw me? This is terrible. Elias sat beside him, holding his good hand. His own heart ached seeing his boy in pain. Memories of his own hardships flooding back. I know it feels bad now, son. But remember, good and bad aren't always clear right away. Let's trust the path ahead. As Luca healed slowly, the family adapted. Mira took on more chores, her back aching from dawn to dusk. Elias worked twice as hard, his hands showing evidence of his love. The horses helped some. Bella pulled the cart to market. Luna carried light loads, but the worry lingered. Luca stared out the window, feeling useless, his dreams of adventure blocked by the sling on his arm. Then dark clouds gathered over the land. Not in the sky, but in the hearts of men. Word came from the king. War had broken out with a neighboring kingdom. Soldiers marched through villages, drafting every able young man to fight on the front lines. Families wept as sons were taken, some barely older than Luca. The air was filled with fear and goodbye hugs. Elias watched as the neighbors' boys left, their mothers' cries echoing in the night. But when the soldiers came to their farm, they saw Luca's bandaged arm. He's unfit for battle, the captain grunted. Move on. Luca stayed home safe, while others faced danger. Months passed and news trickled back. Battles were fierce and many young men lost forever. The village mourned, homes empty without their sons. One evening, a grieving neighbor knocked on Elias's door. Tears in her eyes. Your boy is spared, Elias. We envy your luck. Our Tom is gone. Elias invited her in, sharing tea and kind words. Later, with Luca by his side, his arm now mending, he explained, "See, son, losing Bella seemed like a curse, but she returned with more horses, bringing us help. Your fall felt like pure bad luck. Pain and all, but that broken arm kept you from worse horrors." Luca's eyes widened, understanding dawning like the morning sun. Papa, you were right. It's all connected. Elias nodded, his voice warm and steady. Life is a tapestry woven by a higher hand. We see only threads, some bright, some dark, but the full picture reveals itself in time. When good comes, don't swell with pride. It might lead to lessons when bad strikes. Don't despair, it could be a hidden gift. They sat under the stars that night, Bella grazing nearby, the wild horses calm in their pen. Luca felt gratitude fill his chest, replacing the earlier fear. Years went by and the village changed. The war ended, but scars remained. Elias's farm grew modestly, the horses multiplying into a small herd. Luca, now a young man, married and started his own teaching family, his children the same wisdom. Elias grew old, his hair silver, but his spirit unbroken. Villagers sought his advice, calling him the wise one. How do you stay so peaceful? They asked. He would smile, eyes twinkling, because I've learned. Judge not too soon. What seems a storm might water the seeds of tomorrow. Trust in the Creator's plan, even when it hides in shadows. One day, as Elias rested under an old watching oak Luca tree, work the fields with Sunny's grown colt, he felt deep peace. Life had given him trials, Lost horses, broken bones. Whispers of doubt, but each had led to growth, to bonds stronger than before. And so, my friend, think about your own life. Are you facing a hardship that feels unfair? A loss that weighs heavily on your heart? Or perhaps a windfall that makes you forget humility? Remember, Elijah's story events are like puzzle pieces. Alone they confuse, but together they form beauty. Be patient in sorrow, humble in joy. Everything passes, and in the end, time reveals the truth. Trust that there is a greater plan, one of love and purpose. If this tale moves you, share it with someone in need. And hold on, your story is still unfolding.